Okay, so hi everyone, Senan this side, and in this video we are going to solve this sum of digits of string after convert. And this question is, although given as easy, it is somewhere in between easy and medium because it's not too difficult to be called a medium level problem, but it's not too easy as well because you have to understand a couple of things, and if you're not careful, you would lead into some mistakes. Okay, so so you are given a string s consisting of lowercase English letters and an integer. So first of all, what you have to do is convert s into an integer by replacing each letter with its position in the alphabet. So I'll replace a with 1, b with 2, and similarly z with 26. Then we have to transform the integer by replacing it with the sum of its digits. Okay, after we are doing that, okay, so we have to repeat this transformation k times also. So for example, the resulting would be 8, and we'll see this would be a dry run that we'll see through the code or through the in my notebook while doing the dry run. And what you're given is your constraints is given as the length of the string is 100. Keep this in mind, k is between 1 to 10, but this is 100, and s consists of lowercase English character. We're good with that, and now let's go into our notebook and see what is the whole idea of doing this, right? Let's do a dry run on this zbax. So here we are in my notebook, and what we are seeing that this is basically the mapping that we are going to use, right? And a corresponds to 1, b to c to 3, d to 4, and similarly y to 25 and z to similarly. All of these are given for your reference. It's not something that you have to create a dictionary for. Don't go down that path. So let's look at zbax. Okay, so z is what? Z is 26, so I'll write 26 here. And b is what? B is 2, a is 1, and x is 24. Okay, so this is what you're given, and the after converting your string is to 6 string, your final string would be after converting is 262124. And let's say for this given question k is equal to 2, I assume that was the case. So k is 2. Now let's, for the k equal to 1, the first iteration, let's just add all these elements. So 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11, and plus 6 is 17. After the first iteration, the sum is 17. Now for k equal to 2, sum is what? Sum is 1 plus 7, which is 8. And no matter how if you say k is 3, it still remains as it is, because sum of a single digit, it's the digit itself. So beyond a particular k, your value won't be changing anyways. So since k is 2, we are having these two, basically this as our answer. Now it's quite simple. First you need to take this character and convert, somehow find the mapping to the corresponding number. So typically, for how do we do this in, let's say, C or Java? What you'll be doing is, maybe I think Python as well, what you'll take is the character, let's say Z, fine, and what you'll do is subtract the character Z is this. You'll subtract A from this, and when you do this subtraction, this will give you the ASCII value. Z's ASCII value is something, and A's ASCII value is something else, right? You don't know what is, you should not even worry about what is the ASCII value exactly. So once you do the subtraction and store this into some sort of an integer, let's say int num is this, and what else you could do is basically you take this and for safety you do a type conversion of this value. So one thing you should note is z is whatever the value of a is in ASCII terms. If you give z minus a, you will get the value 25 and not 26. Why is the case? Because if you do character a minus character a, you'll get 0, but our mapping is for a goes to 1, right? So whatever in the end, what I would do is whatever I would get, I'll add 1 to it and store that value in my num. So in this particular way, what I'm able to do is figure out, so first of all I would get this string, right? Simply I would get this string, and what I would do is, although you could do this process without actually going into this creating the string, but I just for simplicity I created the string and I iterated over all the elements and found out what was the num and I added them. So basically after doing this, I would get if the input is this 262124. If this is the input and we do this for every element, and then I'll say after every iteration I'll say result plus equal to num, I would basically get the sum of all characters in this string. Now a couple of things you should know, that we cannot while we are converting this into this, right? So you must have noticed I'm converting this to a string and not directly to an integer. Fine, I'm converting this first, individual elements are converted to a integer and then I convert them back to a string. Why is that case? The case is because although if you want you could actually skip this step and directly go to the result if you know what you're doing, but let's say if you don't, the reason is the value of let's say the maximum length of string is max length is what, it's 100, right? And since the max length is 100 characters, and let's say all of them are z, okay, so if that is the case, my after conversion the string length would be what, it would be 200, in the worst case 200, right? If every character in this length is jn after j. Now what is the max value you could actually attain? So first of all, since this after conversion we have a length of this, let's say temporary, the in between string would be of length 200, and there is no data type or no native data type which could store an integer that has 100 200 digits. Fine, but what you should notice is every digit in this could be at most 9, or let's say cannot exceed a value of 10. That's the worst case, because you could have 26, 25, 19. So I'm considering the extremely worst case, which would definitely never happen, right? So if you have a string length of 200, the worst case could be 50% would have 2 and the remaining 50% would have 6. But anyways, the maximum value you could store in a string represents an integer of size 200 is 200 times 10, because each digit can be from 0 to 9, right? The worst case is the max value is 2000 or less, and this is something we can store into an integer. Okay, I hope I was able to explain this to you, but now let's we've discussed this convert, and now we need to transform this, right? What you could do is iterate through all of these elements, whatever. So what you'll do in the end, you'll take this 200, convert into an integer of sum of elements. Once you do that, you basically did the transformation once in itself. Now let's see the code and you'll be better able to appreciate it, what is happening. Okay, so get lucky. What I'll do is first convert this into a temporary integer. That means it will first convert this string lowercase alphabets to string of digits, and now using that digits I'll do the summation of all the digits and I'll get an integer temp that will give me the sum. Now if you notice that in one of our test cases k is greater than 1, so that means at least we have to add all the elements one time. So this convert is doing what? It's doing the conversion from this string to this string, and then it is also doing this the summation of all the digits. This convert is doing these two operations together, so the output of this would be 17, and that is why I am doing k minus 1, and I'll do the transformation, this transformation. Fine. Okay, so let's look at the thing. First the convert, so I'll take a result as 0 and this temporary string as the empty string. Now what I'll do is I'll go through all the characters and I'll convert that to string, right? I'll do this operation and I'll add this to temp. So basically I've converted this to this into this first for loop. Now this is just for, because since this temp is in a temp is a string, what I do is I make the first transform in this function itself. So for this I just add the result, right? If you see, this element is element minus a plus 1 to get the correct mapping, and given all the digits I'll take that digit, I'll subtract 0 from that. And why? Because this would be giving me the exact digit in an integer format, and I'll add that to my result, and in the end I'll just return the result. So by now you know you'll get this temp, so this would do the first convert operation and then the first transform operation as well. Now since there are k transforms to be performed, the remaining transform would be called for k minus 1 step. So let's look at this transform as well. I'll again take a result as 0, while num result is plus equal to num modulo 10. I take the whatever is the ones digit in that number, I take that as a value, and I decrease the value of num by dividing this by 10. So this would be, now this is completely fine, this is working, and if you see, this is accepted as well and beats 100% as well. But what would be the time and space complexity? So first of all, this is like, so I'm assuming that appending to a string is a constant time operation because we are appending it in the end, right? Like similarly to a vector, so pushback operation takes constant time, and that is what I'm assuming. So to string operation would also take a constant time because at max you can have only 2 elements, right? The worst case, and this would result in what, big O of n, or let's say big O of 2n, when where n is the size of the input, right? Okay, and then I don't know if I'm going about this exactly correctly, but so this temp operation, get this temp, I'll basically have to run through the string of size 2n, the worst case, and so this is big O of 2n, and this is what, while k is always 0 to 10, right? So k is a small value, and the temp operation would be taking what, it would be taking log n time. Why log n? Every time you see a digit, you divide it by 10. So basically you would be doing this for at max how many, the number of digits in your num, and how many digits do you have in your num, it's log n. So temp would be log n time of temp, and that temp would again be log n time of log n. So it's somewhat like log star n. But anyways, this would take this as a constant time operation. Why? Because in the worst case you'll have only 32 comparisons. At max will go no more than 32 iterations, but as also you know that we saw that the number cannot exceed 2000, right? So log of 2000 is what, it would be something about 6, right? Not exactly, but log of 2000 is a very small value. So this, you could assume this transform to be a constant time operation because big O of 32 in the worst case, which won't be the case. So k times 32, big O of k, this while loop will take big O of k times, this convert will big O of 2n times. So overall the size would be big O of n times. So this is a linear time computation. Maybe this could take log star, and I need to verify this log star thing. So log star is a different operation, but we treat log star as a constant time. Log star of a very big value is like 1 or 2, considered as good as a constant time operation. Yep, that was the solution. I hope that I did not confuse you. I could have. And anyways, this was simple as you see. What you could do is just, rather than storing it into a temp, yep, space complexity is again big O of n because we are using this temp. And what you could do is directly convert this to, and take this as an integer, right? And you do the addition on the result directly. You don't have to actually store it into a temporary array. So if you do that improvement, you'll get a better space complexity as constant space, I mean. So this solution is linear time, linear space. If you do this convert operation properly without using an extra array, it's quite straightforward. You just do the addition directly in this for loop. You don't require this as well. So this would give you a constant time but linear space solution. So yep, that was the whole video all about. Hope I was able to explain you and did not confuse you. And yep, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the video.